Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're jumping into some pages from Melanie by Divan Braga.
That's right. We're going to explore Melanie's experiences here, relationships, her mental state, sort of finding herself through these specific excerpts.
Yeah, our aim is really to unpack the key themes, her emotional arc, give you insights into things like resilience, maybe inner child work, navigating these really intense feelings.
Without necessarily needing the whole novel context, we're looking at what these pages tell us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And right off the bat, that description, it's got this contrast, doesn't it?
Totally. The vibrant, colorful world, kawaii aesthetics.
But then a dark storm, cracks appearing. It just screams internal conflict.
It really does. It hints that this bright exterior might be, masking something deeper, intriguing stuff.
So let's start with chapter 1. How is Melanie introduced?
Well, we first see her in a cafe. She's wearing this vibrant yellow sundress, little beesies on it.
Right. Feeling like it's a new beginning. Hopeful.
Definitely hopeful. Looking for connection, thinking cafes bring unexpected encounters. And then she sees Mark.
And instantly decides he seems safe. That's interesting.
It is. Their chat starts pretty light. A song called Strawberry Sunscreen. She's reading Anna Karenina.
Okay. Typical cafe chat.
Yeah. And he mentions he's an aspiring writer working on a fantasy novel with his friend Sarah.
Ah, Sarah. Remember that name. But then Melanie makes this incredibly fast choice.
It's quite stark. The text says, basically, Melanie had chosen him. This stranger would be her next adventure, her next great love.
Wow, okay. So, not much hesitation there.
Not at all, but then almost immediately there's a shift, right? She checks his social media.
Sees his travels, his photography, and this friend, Sarah Klenkova. Details are even noted, like her birthday, hometown.
And the thought process becomes possessive. Business partner, photographer, writer. Melanie thinks, and it was better if it stayed just that.
So the seed of possessiveness is planted instantly. Even as Mark posts about sunshine in a mug, hinting he felt a connection too.
But then we get that darker undercurrent, her shadow passing over her eyes.
Yeah, these flashes of memory, really disturbing ones. A metallic smell, a bloody sharp object, a great bonfire.
And this chilling thought she has, that was necessary. It points to something serious in her recent past.
And the chapter ends with her looking at a new tattoo, a cute, colorful Band-Aid. A symbol, perhaps.
Almost certainly. Covering a wound, maybe. It sets up this real tension between the desire for a fresh start and this unresolved darkness.
Okay, so chapters 2 and 3. Does the relationship develop smoothly at first?
It seems to. They meet again. He calls her his ray of sunshine. The connection feels easy.
But Melanie gets this odd feeling, like being a character in a story.
Yeah, a fleeting sense of detachment, maybe. And then Sarah interrupts. A phone call.
And how does Mark react?
He immediately shifts focus to help Sarah with whatever her problem is.
And Melanie's reaction?
Her demeanor hardens instantly.
Yeah.
That possessiveness flares up. She thinks she won't be just a Sarah, just a friend in need. She wants the romance.
So the competition, or perceived competition, fuels it.
Absolutely. She starts trying to insert herself more into Mark's life, wanting to basically clean him of any interaction that did not involve her. It gets intense.
Which brings us to that scene in the park. That feels pivotal.
Definitely. Mark mentions Sarah's having apartment troubles, might need to stay with him, maybe implying a weekend together with Sarah there.
And Melanie's internal reaction is quite extreme.
Violent, possessive thoughts. She pushes back, insisting they need a weekend alone, asking why Sarah always needs his help. It's accusatory.
And Mark doesn't react well to that, presumably.
No, he walks away. And in that moment, Melanie's decision crystallizes. She calls Sarah.
With a malicious smile and a sweet voice, that's chilling.
It is. The text explicitly says she sees Sarah as an obstacle and thinks she had dealt with things like this before. And from the beginning, she imagined she would need to again.
Okay, so this isn't new behavior. This leads to the abandoned house, right?
Yes. She lures Sarah there, pretending Mark wanted to check the ambience for his book.
Sarah's confused, obviously.
Understandably. And Melanie feels this strange sense of familiarity, realizing she's returning to a place of past trauma, potentially repeating a violent pattern.
The scene of her own shame, leading another threat to a potential slaughterhouse. Heavy stuff.
Very. Inside the house, the atmosphere is unsettling. Melanie actually picks up a broken shard of glass. The intent is clearly there.
But she stops.
Crucially, yes.
Yeah.
She has this moment of clarity. There had to be another way. Mark deserved better, free of darkness. She puts the glass away, a turning point.
Seems like it could be. But then the confrontation at Mark's apartment changes everything.
Right. She goes there, ready for something, maybe to talk, maybe, who knows. But she finds him with another woman. Blonde hair.
And her first reaction.
Primal scream. Reaches for the glass again. That initial impulse is still strong.
But then
This slow motion realization hits her. Betrayal. She understands again. Like, this is a cycle.
But instead of violence towards them,
She does something unexpected. She locks them in the room and leaves.
saying, you deserve better than me.
Exactly. A moment of self-awareness mixed with perhaps self-destruction. It's complex. Then darkness, emptiness, and the buzz of a tattoo machine.
Leading into chapter 4 and another tattoo.
Yes. This one says, I'm fine. Placed near the older Love Heals Band-Aid one. The irony is pretty stark.
It really is. Did she try for a new connection?
She meets Jonah in chapter 5. It starts okay, but then she finds out he has a wife, Mary.
Oh no, not again.
And her immediate thought is to bring him to the abandoned house.
That house keeps drawing her back.
It seems to be the place where her darkest impulses surface. She gets him there, scares him, makes threats, but lets him go.
There's this weird mix of disappointment and satisfaction for her in his fear.
Yeah, it's disturbing. After that, an awkward encounter with Elijah, the tattoo artist.
But then something significant happens.
She finds a business card. Dr. William Lewis. Psychiatry.
A decision to seek help.
It seems so. And this leads to the final act in these excerpts. She goes back to the abandoned house.
With kerosene.
And burns it down. A very symbolic act of trying to destroy the past, the trauma associated with that place. Her thought is she was finally free.
And that leads into part 2, chapter 6.
Briefly, yes. It shows her walking barefoot towards Dr. Williams' office. Ghosts of the past finally extinguished, aiming for newfound clarity. A step towards healing.
Wow. What a journey just in these pages. From that hopeful start to intense possessiveness, confronting darkness, and then this decisive step towards change.
It's a powerful arc. Her coping mechanisms were clearly destructive, born from trauma, but that moment of realizing she needed help, destroying the symbol of her trauma, that's huge.
It feels like the real aha moment isn't just realizing Mark wasn't perfect, but realizing her patterns were the core issue.
Exactly. Recognizing that the Band-Aid solutions, the tattoos, the intense relationships weren't working. She needed to address the underlying wounds. Seeking therapy is that courageous step.
And, her struggle, while extreme in the fictional sense, touches on things many people feel intense emotions. Fear of abandonment, the shadow of the past. Her choice resonates.
It does. It highlights that acknowledging our own darkness or difficult patterns, however uncomfortable, is often necessary for genuine growth.
So maybe a final thought for you listening.
Yeah.
Think about the metaphorical Band-Aids we all use sometime.
And what abandoned houses, those symbolic places of past pain or unhealthy patterns, might you need to confront, maybe even metaphorically clear out to build a healthier future for yourself? Her themes, based just on these fragments we have.
And the sources, well, they're bits of the novel itself, acknowledgments, notes.
Yeah, and interestingly, it's dedicated to the child within. The author even notes this contrast, a colorful world with a dark storm brewing.
Makes you think, doesn't it? That idea of sweetness hiding something deeper.
Exactly. So where do we first meet Melanie?
Okay, chapter 1. She's feeling optimistic, yellow dress, favorite cafe, seems bright.
But then she meets Mark.
Instantly. Decides he's her next big love, like immediately.
Wow, okay. And dives straight into his social media.
Oh yeah, sees pictures with this woman, Sarah. Gets suspicious, but convinces herself it's just business.
Right, constructing that narrative already.
And then Mark posts about their coffee meeting, which just, reinforces her idea that he chose her.
Okay, so high intensity from the get-go, but there's also a dark memory mentioned.
Yeah, just a flash. Something about sharp object, a fire. She pushes it away, suggests there's more going on underneath.
Definitely sounds like it. That speed of attachment, the quick suspicion, the suppressed memory, it paints a complex picture early on.
And it continues, doesn't it? Chapter 2, more dates. This supposed magnificent connection.
But then comes the call from Sarah.
Right. Sarah's date went wrong. Mark has to go help her. He reschedules with Melanie.
And how does Melanie react?
Her whole mood just shifts. That warmth hardens. Suddenly, Sarah is someone in her way.
The possessiveness starts to really show.
It escalates in chapter 3. She's actively trying to insert herself into his life, subtly at first.
Okay.
Then they're in the park. Mark mentions Sarah needs help finding an apartment. Maybe Melanie could join.
And she doesn't like that idea.
Not at all. Pushes for a date. Just them. Mark insists Sarah's just a friend in trouble.
Tension building.
Yeah, he walks off. Melanie's furious, but then it turns cold. She calls Sarah.
Under false pretenses, right? About Mark's book research.
Exactly. Leading them to that abandoned house. Chapters 3 and 27 cover this bit.
The potential slaughterhouse of her jealousy. Quite a phrase.
It is, and she has a piece of glass with her. Violent intent seems clear.
But she stops herself, decides against using it. Why do you think?
The text says she wants to be better for Mark. Well, it's a moment, isn't it? A conscious choice against the impulse.
A flicker of self-awareness, maybe, amidst all the jealousy.
Perhaps. But it feels fragile, because soon after, chapters 30-32, she goes to Mark's apartment, still with that idea of being better.
Oh no, what happens?
Hears noises, finds Mark in bed with another woman.
Right. So the betrayal is real.
And that rage, that instinct with the glass, it comes right back.
Understandable, I suppose, but what does she do?
It's strange. They offer weak excuses. She lowers the glass, says she's done, tells Mark he deserves better, and leaves.
She tells him he deserves better.
Yeah, and locks the bedroom door behind her. It's confusing. Anger, but also this weird kind of departure.
Maybe it's disillusionment, like realizing this whole chase isn't worth it. Locking the door is pretty symbolic.
Could be. Then, chapter 4, she gets a new tattoo.
Yeah.
A cute Band-Aid saying, "I'm fine."
Right below an older one that said, "Love heals." Ugh.
Yeah, speaks volumes. Then, chapter 5, she tries dating again. Jonah
And the pattern repeats.
checks his phone, finds out he's married, takes him to the abandoned house.
Uh-oh. Same place.
Same place. Implied threat, but she lets him go. Gets this bitter satisfaction from scaring him.
So, still some destructive impulses, but maybe shifting.
Seems like it. She has this moment of feeling like a character being written. Existential dread kind of kicks in. Then she finds a psychiatrist card,
Ah, okay. A potential path towards actual health.
which she takes in chapter 6. Starts therapy with Dr. William.
Do they talk about the darker stuff? The house?
They discuss the fire, and we learn later, chapters 48-50, she actually went back and burned the abandoned house down.
Wow, okay. So she tells the therapist about the arson.
Seems implied they discuss it. He suggests healthy coping, creative outlets, maybe a blog. She mentions wanting a treehouse as a kid, an escape.
Interesting symbol. Escape.
Dr. William reframes it. Not escaping, but reclaiming joy, building something new.
Which leads to the business, Meadows.
Exactly. With Emily. And for a while, chapters 7-9, things seem better. Meadows is successful. She finishes therapy feeling content.
But healing isn't always a straight line, is it?
Apparently not. Seeing kids in a treehouse triggers something. Then Emily introduces male models, including Kai.
Melanie is drawn to him?
Yep. But at a dinner, Kai asks for Emily's number. Melanie's disappointed. Old patterns resurface.
So vulnerability in relationships is still a major issue.
Big time. Chapter 10, she's drinking heavily, upset about Kai, thinks about calling Dr. William.
Her former therapist?
Yeah. They end up meeting for a walk. She suggests resuming therapy.
Which he can't really do, ethically.
Right. He admits he's attracted to her, but says it's impossible professionally.
Yeah.
She kind of laughs it off.
So where does that leave them?
They agree not to see each other again. But he has one last surprise.
Which is?
He takes her to a newly built treehouse, fulfilling that childhood wish she mentioned. A place for her.
Wow. A real treehouse. A space to reflect, maybe.
Seems like it. A very poignant place to leave these excerpts.
It really is. Her journey is so intense. Possessiveness, destruction, but also this clear striving towards healing, finding herself.
That child within dedication really echoes through it all, doesn't it? Her whole understanding of love and freedom evolving.
Absolutely. So maybe for you listening, it's worth considering. How do our own pasts, those unmet needs, shape our lives now?
Yeah, and how do we find peace, build our own self-worth? What does building your own treehouse, that personal space for growth, actually mean to you?
Lots to think about there.
Definitely. Thanks for diving deep with us today.